today for review, we got a rifle that a lot of you guys have been asking me about. It is the IWI Tavor rifle. It is a bullpup design, obviously. It is a version, the US version anyway, of the Israeli main battle rifle. But lots of things to say about it. It's an interesting rifle, and we're going to shoot a little bit more and get into the rest of the review. As you see there on the Tavor rifle, the bolt locks open on the last shot just like on an AR-15. The difference is it's not quite the same tactile feel that you're going to have in an AR. So for those of you guys that are used to the kind of the clunk in your shoulder, it's definitely a little bit lighter than that. But getting into mag changes, the way your mag change on this rifle works is your mag release is right here on this little lever. So when your bolt locks to the rear, just push that lever, the mags pull out, drop your mag, and insert your next one. So while we're at it, we'll talk about mag compatibility. That was a Gen 2 PMag. We'll just go through a few of them that we have out here. We have the Tango Down arc mag here. Load that up, and to do your to load the round in there, you just go up in the mag well, and then right behind here, you'll see this little bolt release button. So you go, insert your mag, roll your hand back, bump it up, and that will let the bolt go forward. Locks the rear again. Drop it. Mag drops free. And we'll just go through a few different mags here. This is the PMag Gen M3. This is D&H USGI style mag. Drop free. Lancer 30 round AWM. And lastly, this will be our EMag. You see there, it functions just fine with all those magazines. Pretty much any AR mag will run fine. You saw earlier in the video that we were running the Surefire 60. The only ones I know of that don't really run with this rifle are the drum style mags, like the beta drum and things like that. They just don't fit up into the mag well right. But other than that, pretty much all your USGI style or AR mags are going to work just fine in this rifle. So definitely a pro for the Tavor there. A lot of you guys out there have stockpiles like I do of the AR mags, and they convert right over to this rifle. Now, this rifle is, generally speaking, an ambidextrous rifle. We'll get into that more a lot in the later parts of the review. That said, one thing people were worried about was if you're firing offhand or off shoulder, if that brass is going to come back and hit you in the face. Well, I fired right now just some 55 grain silver bear ammo. Go ahead and keep putting some more rounds through so you can see what it actually looks like. And we're on fire. Yeah. You can see there, it is brushing my chin a little bit. It's not painful, but it's probably something I wouldn't want to take in the face all day long. That said, I've run some 5.56 through this as well, some hotter stuff. And with that ammo, it does eject more forward, probably to the 1 or 2 o'clock position, and it doesn't hit your face at all. So I guess it just depends on the power of the ammo that you're using. But we'll get more into it, a little more shooting time with it, and continue on with the review. I'm going to go ahead and try to do a little accuracy testing. We're just using cheap ammo here, 62 grain Wolf, but we'll see how it does in this 1-in-7 barrel here. For the optic here, we're just using a non-magnified primary arms microdot. We'll see what we get. Alright, let's go check it out. We got that here to the target. Check out the group here. Looks like we're measuring 3-shot group right at 2 1/4 inches. So 2 1/4 inch group with that 62 grain Wolf. Obviously if we had some match ammo, it would probably work out a little bit better. I honestly just didn't bring any with me today. But not bad for cheap surplus ammo. One of the downsides of the Tavor rifle is the inability to mount a light in kind of an ergonomic way, especially for right-handed shooters. Lefties, you guys are going to have it a little bit easier on this one. That is if you have your rifle set up right-handed anyway. If you have it set up left-handed and your charging handle's on the right, you're going to have run into the same issues. But what we have here is we have the Streamlight TLR mounted up on the top of the rail. I'm not sure how well that comes across here in the low light conditions. But with an optic, the way the AR optics sit above there on this rifle, you are still able to see over it while still getting your reticle and still getting the light without having any sort of shadowing effect. So just to show you what that looks like here, take a few shots on the steel. Now I know some guys are running lights with tape switches over here on the side rail, but for me, I prefer to just reach up a little bit higher with the TRL there. Pros and cons to each method, of course, but that's what I found works best so far on this rifle. Let's take a closer look here at the rifle moving from front to back. As you see here, we do have the A2 birdcage flash hider. It does have the same thread pattern that most AR rifles have, the 1/2 by 28, so that way it'll accommodate any sort of muzzle device or suppressor that you might want to run on the rifle. As you see here, the barrel is marked made in Israel. On the opposite side, it is marked 5.56. 1-in-7 twist, cold hammer forged, chrome lined, so that way it indicates that is how the barrel is made. As I mentioned earlier, if you have the rifle set up for right-hand use, on the right side you do have some 1913 style rail here if you want to mount any sort of accessories or anything like that on the rifle. On the bottom of the handguard there is a screw for mounting this 1913 style rail. That is a proprietary rail. Currently it is available in limited numbers, but speaking to IWI, they do say they're going to be able to get that out in mass here shortly. I believe the expected cost of that is anywhere from $25 to $35, so that way you can mount any sort of vertical foregrip, which you've seen earlier in the video, or if you want to run a bipod on there for more accurate shooting, particularly if you have the 18-inch version of this rifle. On the opposite side of the rifle you do have the charging handle. The charging handle here is non-reciprocating, and you also have this little button right here. What that button is it's a pressure switch for a sight that the Israeli military uses. Here in the US, you can modify it if you want. If you want to go ahead and take this handguard off, you can slide your pressure switch for whatever kind of light or laser that you want to use in behind there and use it for basically whatever kind of accessory you want to have, but it is a built-in feature for the Israeli optic. The US version of the Tavor does come with integral QD attachment points both up front here and in the rear of the rifle. You see here, these do move slightly. I believe it's a 30-degree movement that they do have. One of the negative aspects you've probably heard about the rifle is the trigger. It is a bullpup rifle, so there is some linkage in there. That said, there are definitely a lot worse ones out there. I've owned a few bullpups over the years, and this trigger is one of the best, if not the best of them. So to go ahead and test it, we're going to put it on the gauge. We're going to go ahead and activate the selector lever, which for most people who are familiar with running AR series rifles will be very familiar and instinctive to them. So we'll go ahead and put it on fire. This rifle has been safety checked. We'll go ahead and hook up the Timney gauge here and see what kind of pressure it pulls at. And so you guys can see there, it is pulling just over 9 pounds, so about 9.5 pounds of pressure of what we're taking to break it. Now, like I was saying earlier, there is some take up in there and some stacking, but the break is extremely crisp on this rifle, much more so than most rifles that are bullpup designs. Moving back a little further, you see this little button right here. And what that button is, it's actually not a button, it's kind of a screw. And there's a tool that comes with the rifle that you go ahead and insert in there, and it allows you to remove the barrel from the rifle assembly. Now, to do that, you have to disassemble the rifle a good bit more than what you would do for normal maintenance, and it takes about 15 to 25 minutes to do. But when you do that, you are able to change out the barrel. So if you want to go from the 16.5 inch, which is what we have on this rifle, to the 18 inch, or if you want to go ahead and do a caliber conversion, which IWI says will be coming out to the US market shortly, both in 9mm and 5.45 by 3.9, that's how you would do it. And as a side note, as soon as that 5.45 by 3.9 comes out, I will be picking one up, rest assured, and you'll see a review here on the channel. Here's a close-up shot of the mag release that I talked about earlier in the video. See here, you just push back, and this little latch right here is how it engages with the magazine. So basically you're going to push back, this latch will pop out, just like that, and the magazine does drop free. Incidentally, the magazine that it comes with is this, I believe it's CAA, is who makes this magazine, called the Mag 17 is what they call it. But factory mag with the window, so you are able to see. how many rounds you have in there. It's a good magazine so far. I ran it in both this rifle as well as 2 of my ARs. Have had no issues with it, so it seems to be a quality magazine. You do get one with the rifle. Anyway, back on track of what we were talking about here. And to insert the mag back in, you basically just push back up and you will hear it click, which it does there. And that's pretty much it. Very simple. One of the advantages of this rifle, at least in my opinion, versus the AR or the AK is, I think with a little bit of practice, I do think mag changes are a little bit easier in this rifle than some of its competitors out there. Here we have our bolt catch. And basically, if you go ahead and pull the charging handle to the rear, you see it comes out there. Go ahead and change your magazine. So if you're to pull it out, insert a new one, and you want to let the bolt go home, all you do is just touch up on it like I spoke about earlier. And that's it. Very simple. Just takes a little bit of pressure to do that. The last thing we're going to talk about here on the rear of the stock is these 3 pins right here, here, and here. Those are captive pins used to disassemble the rifle. So to go ahead and disassemble the rifle, you just take your 223 round, or if you want, you can use a punch as well. It works just fine. You're going to go ahead and press this top one first. Push it in. Like I said, it is a captive pin, so you're going to go ahead and pull it from the other side. And the whole back end of this buttstock comes out. Now, what you'll see here is the whole bolt assembly is already starting to come out a little bit because it is under spring tension, obviously. And to disassemble it, you just go ahead and pull it out. And that is your piston, bolt carrier assembly, recoil spring, all that jazz, all wrapped up into one little piece. It does disassemble a little bit further than this, so if you go ahead, take this piece out, this pin right here, push it out from this side, the bolt will come out, as well as the firing pin and spring. I'm not going to do that right now because down the road I am going to do a how to clean and lubricate your Tavor rifle video, where I'll get into that a lot more detailed, just like the manual does. The manual that comes with this rifle is very detailed. Anyway, so that's your bolt carrier assembly. And to go ahead and remove the trigger pack of this, all you do is go ahead and take these 2 pins up here and push them out. These ones on my rifle are a little bit tight, but definitely not terrible. So go ahead, same thing, there's captive pins as well, so that way you're not going to lose them when you're out in the field. Go ahead and pull your bolt release down and just let it fall out, which it does. And that's your trigger pack. And one thing I want to point out here while we have this apart is this trigger, the hammer I should say, and your trigger pack does have a lot of metal components in it. I've had the FS2000 before. I've shot the Styrog a good bit. Both of those use polymer parts in there. This one obviously uses steel parts, so definitely something a lot of people like about it, but it does add to the weight of the rifle. The weight of the rifle here is 7.9 pounds, so a little heavy by modern standards for what it is. Anyway, to go ahead and put it back together, you just go ahead, put that back up in there, and you're going to line this hole and this hole up with these 2. And trust me, it's much easier to do when there's not a camera looking at you. But go ahead and put it up in there, and go ahead and let that go home. Put the pins through. And then you're going to go ahead and take your bolt assembly. And just one of note here, something to think about. It's not an all polymer body, or something to point out, I should say, not think about. There is metal reinforcements throughout the upper part of the stock there. So go ahead to put it back together and push this pin back out because it went home on me. And you're just going to slide them right in there. Push the stock closed, push the pin through, and that's it. That's the field stripping of the rifle. The rifle does come with flip-up iron sights that are integral into the 1913 style top rail. You see here on the front this little indent. You go ahead and pull those up. That's how your front sight comes up. And right here on the back, you go ahead and pull up, and that's how your rear sight comes up. The rear sight is one size only, so there's no dual apertures like you have on the AR platform. The aperture is roughly the size of the small aperture on an AR, for those of you guys that are familiar with that. And of note, the front sight here does have a tritium insert, so that way you can easily pick it up in low light conditions. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up with a few things I haven't touched on to this point. The rifle is made in Pennsylvania. The majority of the components are. That said, I did talk about earlier, the barrel there is made in Israel. But a lot of the components here are made, I believe, in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The overall length of the weapon, being a bullpup design, is only 26 inches, which is one of the biggest advantages of this rifle. Obviously, the rifle was designed for CQB, which is what the Israeli military finds themselves in very often, at least in recent years anyway. So that's what the rifle was designed to be optimized for. It is 26 inches overall, like I just mentioned, which is very similar. A lot of you guys have seen my 10.5 inch SBR to AR, very similar in size to that. So, but yet you still have the 16-inch barrel and you're getting the full velocity out of the round. So when you're coming up, it's a very compact little package. And for clearing houses, kicking indoors, things like that, the advantages of that sized rifle with the full velocity of the 5.56 round, I mean, they speak for themselves. So, compact little rifle, which is one of the biggest pros of the gun, and reliability, another pro of the gun. This gun's been 100% reliable with the exception of one round. It very well may have been a bad round. It was a brown bear soft point round, and when I went to fire it, the soft point of the rifle, the round itself, just got caught on the edge of the chamber. And when I pulled it out and looked at it, and the soft point was just all jacked up looking. So it may have actually been a bad round that I just didn't catch when I was going in. But other than that, the majority of what I've been shooting out here has been Wolf 55 grain, 62 grain, some Silver Bear 62 grain, and put a little bit of the Mod 1 through it as well, 5.56 rounds, just to see how that would handle it, see if the ejection pattern would change, which it did. But it's been 100% reliable, and I have probably close to 1,000 rounds through it at this point. No issues whatsoever, easy to clean, which I've done twice at this point. And I mean, with that piston design, it stays very clean in there, particularly when you compare it to a DI AR. So a lot of pros of this gun. I do like it a lot. One of the cons of the gun for sure is going to be that trigger that we talked about. A little bit, a lot of kind of gritty uptake, if you will. But like I said, that brake is clean. I'd like to see it more around the 5 to 6 pound mark, obviously, instead of the 9 to 10 pound mark, which is what we're coming in at. Another con of the rifle there is going to be rail space. Right now in the market, what we're really doing with this rifle is kind of adapting AR parts to it. So you're trying to stick a light that was designed with a mount that was designed for the AR onto this rifle, which is kind of, you get into some of the same problems that we have with the trying to adapt AR parts to AKs. You know, the rail space isn't quite the same. Try to mount a light up here, it's not the same position as it would be on your AR, all those things. So definitely some cons there in terms of accessorizing the rifle. That said, I believe these rifles will become more and more popular, and you will see accessories start to be made for these rifles. So that's one of the cons. Another con is going to be the cost. I picked this rifle up at Atlantic Firearms for $1,900, $1,999 is what I believe they're going for on these models. They do also make a model, IDF model, is what I believe they call it, coming in right at $2,500 with a different optic on top, and it's the optic that the Israeli Defense Forces are using, hence the name. So price is definitely going to be a con, but for $2,000, I think you do get a lot of rifle, especially in this market. That said, even at the $2,000 mark, if you go look at Gunbroker, some of the gun shows around the country, these rifles are going for anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000, which to me seems a little bit crazy. So again, if you're looking for a place, Atlantic seems to get a good bit of them in stock. I would check there, check with them. They are selling them for the suggested price. So that's just my 2 cents on the price. But it's an expensive rifle, no doubt about it. But it is a good rifle, so I would buy it again, put it that way. On that note, like I was saying earlier, I have had other bullpups in the past. This one is by far, at least in my opinion to date, the best bullpup I've used to date. Excellent bullpup design. There are some shortcomings that are inherent to bullpups, but it makes up for a lot of it and is void of some of the other problems that you'd see out there with like the Steyr or the FS2000. I mean, it's an excellent rifle. So I guess when it comes down to brass tacks, am I going to replace all my ARs with the Tavor? No, I'm not. I'm very proficient with the AR, as a lot of US users are. I feel comfortable with it. The controls are instinctive to me. That said, I do think with a little bit more training with this rifle, it's definitely going to be in the rotation more often, that's for sure. I really like it. Just getting used to the controls is really what we have to do at this point, or at least what I have to do at this point. But all in all, I really can't complain. It's an excellent rifle, well built, reliable, accurate, at least as accurate as I am with the sight like you saw earlier. I really can't complain about it. I'd buy it again, like I said. So as always, guys, if I missed anything and you guys have any questions, feel free to post in the comments section. You can also post over at my Facebook page. But as always, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Thanks for subscribing, and hope to see you guys in the next video.